It is Kieran Trippier. It is delicious! Glorious! Glorious!
Walker in there too. Luke Shaw! Harry Kane wants it played into him. He chooses Grealish instead. It's Grealish! It's Kane! I think like this has happened for a long time. Here's the overhead kick from Kane! Palmer finds Watkins. Watkins turns! Watkins scores!
Hello, and welcome back to the Gate 102 podcast. I hope I find you well. Apologies for the delay for this episode. It was due to be out last week, but for numerous reasons that didn't happen. But it's out now, and I'll be continuing with the 2018 World Cup, following on from our last episode, which was that great win against Colombia, where England won their first World Cup penalty shootout ever. And that episode is still available wherever you get your podcasts, as are all the other games I've talked about so far. So today I'll be talking about the quarterfinal win over Sweden, another great game, and I'll start with the starting lineup. And it came to no surprise that it was an unchanged team for England once again. It's Pickford in goal, a back five of Trippier, Walker, Stones, Maguire and Young, midfield three of Henderson, Ali and Lingard, and then a front two of Kane and Sterling. Now, Sweden were a good side at this point in time, and I know quite a few people like to downgrade Southgate's success by saying stuff like it was only such and such, it was only Sweden, but Sweden were a good team and were well known for its solid defensive structure, and this means they were a difficult team to break down. And this was evident as the game started. It started very slowly, and I actually watched the whole game back before recording this, and the first 20 minutes or so, if I was to describe it in one word, it would be cagey. I'd say England were in control, despite not playing that great. They're the ones dominating possession, but they weren't doing anything with that possession. And yeah, it was a very slow start by both teams, and Sweden's game plan was very almost sit back and hit them on the break. But then half an hour into the game, England got a corner. And this tournament, I keep mentioning it, I say it every week, but we were so good at set pieces and dead ball situations. Getting a corner was almost as good as getting a penalty. It was like, we were so clinical from corners. And Ashley Young was the man to take, and he floated a brilliant ball into the box. And there was Harry Maguire to bury his header home and give England the lead. Such a powerful header, and it wasn't a free header either. He was under a lot of pressure. He had like two men around him. So to get that much power on it and that accuracy is incredible. His first international goal as well. First in many. But this meant England were in the lead and had managed to get that breakthrough. And I think this sort of almost kick-started the game a bit, because Sweden no longer sat back. They started coming at England. And Raheem Sterling had a golden opportunity to double the lead around the 40-minute mark. He found himself 1-1 with the goalkeeper, but he just failed to convert. And this was something Sterling was struggling for England at the time. He was going through a real drought in front of the goal. But Southgate remained trusting him, and that later paid off in future tournaments, obviously. But yeah, in this tournament, Sterling just wasn't happening for him, and he really should have made it too, really. But moving on to the second half, Sweden came out with a lot more intent, and they started to press England a lot harder and with more people. And rather than trying to be solid and sit deep, they were a lot more aggressive. And this was a change, and Pickford had to make a really early save in the second half, and he wasn't really tested in the first half. So it goes to show that Sweden definitely came out of the blocks a lot faster. But if I'm honest, by Sweden attacking more, it actually benefited England going forward, because it left gaps at the back because they were playing higher up, and players like Sterling, Young, Lingard, Ali, and obviously Kane had a lot more space, sort of running behind and play in attack. So obviously Sweden were playing better, but if anything, that benefited England. And it wasn't long after when England scored the second goal of the afternoon. Dele Alli, it was, scoring a powerful header after Jesse Lingard crossed from the right-hand side. And I always think of it as England's two sort of playmakers and creative midfielders linking up really well in Lingard and Ali. And yeah, such a great header from the Spurs midfielder. And it's funny because I'm sure we can all remember how we celebrate some goals England has scored over the years. And my memory of this goal isn't a great one. So I seem to remember when Dele Alli scored, obviously I started going mental, as did my family. And then the dog came in from outside and I didn't realise I actually jumped on the dog, which wasn't a great experience for myself or for anyone else. So I should have been celebrating like everyone, but instead I was feeling really guilty that I'd hurt the dog. But yeah, despite that regretful situation, what a moment for England and what a moment for Dele Alli, and especially after he missed the Panama and Belgian games due to injury. So nice for him to get his chance to shine in the tournament. But I think the thing that stood out about this game was how composed the players were. Like, even after leading 2-0, Sweden obviously kept having loads of shots in the hope of getting a comeback, but England was still in control. They were still playing so well, and it was like they were cruising, really. And this was in a World Cup quarter-final where we've seen it go wrong many times before. England were just so calm, and it's like they've done it so many times before. But Sweden had run out of ideas, really. Just kept shooting in the hope that they might get a goal. When you've got Jordan Pickford between the sticks, scoring is a difficult thing to do. But Pickford was class and was actually named man of the match for some of the saves he made throughout the second half. And this was actually his first and only clean sheet of the tournament. But it was this win that meant England were through to the semi-finals, their first World Cup semi-final since 1990. So a 28-year difference. Obviously an incredible achievement. And it just once again vindicated the point of this being a different England, a new England, a fearless team. Just absolutely brilliant. And I know Pickford got man of the match, and I can't disagree with that, but there was one player who I just thought was incredible this game, and he had an incredible tournament as well. I don't think he ever got the praise he deserved, and that's Jordan Henderson. There was a moment in the second half when Pickford made the save, and Henderson tracked all the way back and put in the most amazing tackle to stop the rebound from going in. And the problem with things like that is I never remember them from the top of my head, as generally we only really remember what happened in the final third of the pitch. But that tackle was just immense, and his work rate is just like, I've never known a player like it at that time. It was just incredible. And I'd potentially say he was possibly England's most important player outside of Kane and Pickford. I think Henderson was probably the third most important because he was the link between the defence and the attack, and he did that so well. And also the way he protected the defence by sitting in front of them, doing the gritty stuff, winning the tackles, whilst also controlling the game. And yeah, just, it's not a sexy position really. It's not what people remember, but I just thought Henderson was different gravy, as they say, for this game. Just, yeah. Although Pickford got man of the match, I think Henderson was very unlucky not to get it as well. And I know I mentioned set pieces before, as I do every episode at the minute, but at this point in the tournament, England scored 11 goals, and 8 of them had come from set pieces, which is insane if you think about it, because you'd expect it to be the other way around, but like 3 goals being scored from set pieces. But England was so dangerous from set pieces, and it was evident that Southgate and his staff were working really hard at them and planning these routines. And another interesting fact that I found from this game was Dele Alli scoring meant at the time of this goal, he became England's second youngest goal scorer in a knockout match at age 22 and 87 days. Obviously that's changed now, but at the time that was the case. And the person ahead of him was Michael Owen at age 18. So that really capped off a brilliant day for the Tottenham midfielder. But what a day it was. And I remember going to my local bar after the game, and it was a really hot day as well. People singing, it's coming home in the streets, and just amazing. And not many of us would have expected that for this tournament, to get to semi-finals beyond the expectations of many England fans, and to do it so comfortably with the performance as well. I remember saying at the time, it's almost too good to be true. But yeah, what a game. And I think I'll leave it there for today, but I'll be back next week talking about the semi-final fixture against Croatia. And a reminder, you can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook and Instagram. And you won't miss any updates and announcements because there might be a few announcements coming over the next few weeks. So plenty of content coming your way. But yeah, that just leaves me to say, as always, thank you for listening. Always appreciated. And I look forward to talking about the Croatia game next week. See you soon.